Hello. Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. Oh, hi, Rama. Hey, hi, Avida. Hi, Shah. Hey, Karan. So, let's start. Just give me a moment. Okay, so we also start now. So, just a quick thing, right? Yesterday, what we did was we were talking about on the aspects of the sampling distribution of the sampling mean, right? So, this is something that we were trying to understand. And yesterday, what we did was we were using the z-scores to find out the percentages, like what's the percentage if I know the average and you know the standard deviation. So how will you work with it and you will find the probability of something to happen. Okay. So can anyone explain me, like if I ask you, like if you have to define sampling distribution of the sampling mean, what exactly was that? So if anyone can just try to explain that.
So sampling distribution of sampling mean was that if we have a set of data, which is not a norm distribution,
Mhm.
and if we take enough samples and take the sample means and then plot them on a graph, then that graph will turn out to be a bell curve, and that would be a normal distribution, where the mean of that sampling mean sample distribution would be the actual mean of the whole data.
So it will not be actual mean. See, I will not say it's an actual mean. That mean will be a representation of a mean of that actual data, right? So there will be definitely some difference. Definitely you will have, right? It will not be
Oh,
exactly the same,
okay,
right?
okay.
But it will be a representation. It will not happen that the population mean was 100 and you are getting 150. That will not happen. It will come 102, 198, 97, but it will somewhere somehow it is going to represent the mean of that entire population. So that is exactly what that sampling distribution or sampling mean is. So now what do you say if suppose if you have if I ask you that, okay, you have a population, you had 100 set of people, and you took some samples from there and you did a distribution and you said that based on the samples that I've taken, I am saying that the average height of the students in the class is coming out to be as 165 centimeters. Now, what do you think will be a better way of representation? Whether you say 165 centimeter is the average, or you say that the average height of the student is between 165 to 167. What do you think will be a better answer? I hope the question is clear, right? So we are talking that you have the data with you and you find the samples and you find that average. Now you say that the average height is 165 centimeter, or you say the average height lies between 165 to 167. So which is a better way? Which do you think will you suggest as an answer in a better? Which option you will choose? Yep. Guys, I hope you can hear me.
Not sure, because if you're saying average is 165, then if
Mhm.
you're the range of 165 to 167, that would mean more confidence that within that much range it will happen. But not
Sorry.
sure what the answer should be.
See,
sure
it's
what
a
the
generic,
answer should be.
it's a very generic stuff. Suppose you if I ask you that okay, you have to meet your friend and your friend says that I will reach exactly 30 minutes, and he says that I will reach between 30 to 40 minutes. So, which do you think is more reliable answer?
30 to 40 minutes because that's a larger range.
30 to 40 minutes, right? If he takes that 30 to
Yeah.
40 minutes, he suggests the answer is that. So you are a little more sure that okay, between 30 to 40 he will reach. But when he says exact 30, so the chances are less of that, right? I mean, I'm not saying it will not happen, but there are some chances that he might take 2 3 minutes up and down as well. But when he gives me a range, so I know that within these days somewhere he will reach. Right? So now just see, the statistics when we talk of it's not exact value, right? Always remember this thing. See, stats is never the exact number that we're looking at, right? Like COVID, you all know that is the best example of this. There are a lot of the the basically there are a lot of these comes up, right? I'm not sure if you all would have seen this. So there is this. So for Indian COVID-19, there was a team of IIT Kanpur that they made this representation, right? That how the cases are going to happen, how what will be. They had predicted that how the cases will go as per the amount of time. So they use statistical models to make the predictions. Now prediction when you make it is not going to be always the exact, right? There will be some error that you will always have. Your prediction number will either go little up or little high. So if you see now, this is what they made. That orange line that you see over here, right? So this orange line over here is something which is what they computed, and a blue line is something that is actually happening. So you can see it is not exactly overlying on that. There is a little bit of a difference that you can see over here, that how the things are happening in India and what they had predicted, right? So don't you think that they will not be saying, they will not say that over here that okay, on this 8th of June we will have the 1 lakh cases, right? So they are basically, they would be using some level of the percentage where they would have said that okay, the cases will be between 98,000 to 1 lakh 5,000. That will give them a little confidence, right? That okay, between somewhere up and down, but we are right in that case. So that is something that we are now going to talk about, right? Basically, when we talk in statistics, so we talk about confidence interval. Basically, when we say that when we are picking or we are analyzing the samples, we can never say that the point value that we have picked up is the exact representation. So it is a kind of representing it, but you cannot be sure that it will be exactly the same value. That is why what we do is, instead of giving a point estimate, we actually give a range of values, so as to have that assurance that okay, if that output goes outside that, that means our samples were wrong or our technique was wrong. So that is something we are now going to talk over here now. I hope I'm able to make sense to all of you, right? So the sample mean that we take, right? They are the examples of point estimate where we are saying that this is what the exactly value will be. The benefit of using a point estimate is that it's easy to calculate, but the drawback is that calculating a point estimate doesn't always give you the exact estimate. So the point estimate could be a good estimate or a really bad estimate as well, and we don't know it, and we wouldn't know it either way, right? So when you make some point estimations, they can be really good and they can sometimes be bad as well. So in order to overcome that thing, what we do is we find the interval estimate. That means I'm not going to say that the population is the average height of a student is 160. No, I will be saying that I'm 95% confident that the height of that average height of the students lies between 163 to 167 centimeter. I will say I am 99% confident that the average height of a student in the class is around 166 centimeters. So that is how we are now going to transform from point estimate to interval estimate, right? I hope I'm making sense to all of you. So now this 95%, 90%, the numbers that I'm using over here. Now, right, how are these numbers coming? And what are these numbers? These numbers are called as confidence level. And these numbers are not, they are not something new. These are the same numbers that you've already seen. Okay, so when you were saying that, when you calculated yesterday, you were doing all the questions that we were doing, that what are the chances that if you pick a random guy, his salary will be more than the more than 40,000. So you were giving me the output in the form of percentages, right? That there are 95% percentage chances that his height is the person's height will be person's salary will be more than 30,000, right? Or there were 68% chances that the height the average salary of a person would be more than 40,000, 45,000. Now these are the same percentages numbers that we are now going to use in a little bit different way, right? So what happens is, like, when we talk in terms of statistics, so there are three percentages that we will be talking a lot about, and they are 90%, 95%, and 99%, right? These are actually three very common confidence levels that we use. So we always try to say that, I am 99% confident that this is going to happen. I am 95% confident that this is going to happen. And I am 90% confident that this is going to happen. So these are three percentages that we use most oftenly when we work into this statistics and we calculate those means or the averages that I would say, right? So just a little bit more, right? So what we do is, it's important to clarify what we mean when we talk about a particular confidence, right? So I'll tell you what these you know what these confidence levels are. What is 95% and what is 99%, what they are, I will just be telling you all these things. So what we do is, if I am saying, just understand this part. So if I'm saying that I am 95% confident that something is going to happen, what is the error rate? What is the error? What is the chances of error that are going to happen?
5%.
5%. So if I say I'm 99% confident, so I'm going to say that my chances of error are 1%. So this is actually represented, or this is called as alpha value. This is called as the alpha value that you know we are trying to now say over here, that if I'm 95% confident, that means 5% error chances. 19% confidence, so I am 1% error chances. So what we do is, we say alpha equal to 1 minus confidence level. We also call this as level of significance. The name of alpha is also level of significance. So if someone tells you confidence level or someone says level of significance, both the terms are actually, they are basically opposite to each other, right? Confidence level is 95% and level of significance is 5%. So which we represent in the form of a alpha. Now this is just this confidence that I'm talking over here, right? The confidence interval when sigma is known. So now how do I find the confidence interval is, it's fairly simple. So if you know the standard deviation of the population, right, the confidence interval is given by x plus minus z into sigma by root n. Now, what is z? Z is basically the critical value that we are going to choose over here, right? Which is the z score, right? If you remember, I told the z score that we were using yesterday. So this is the same z score that we are going to talk about over here in a little different format. Now, what I do over here is, just take this example. Just say, what is this? What do we call this?
Standard error.
Standard error, right?
Standard
Or
error.
the standard
Yeah.
deviation of the standard deviation of the sample that you have.
Sample. Hmm.
Of the sample that you have. So that is the standard deviation of the sample that you have. Now what we do is, we find the A and B, which is the confidence interval. And how do we find them? You calculated this average, right? You calculated this average now. That what that average of that sample was. You have already calculated it. So what I'm trying to say now is, I am trying to assign a little bit of a interval around it, right? Like when you say that the average height of the student is 165, what I'm trying to do is, instead of giving my output in the form of 165, I am just adding plus 2 over here, and I'm subtracting 2 from here, minus 2 from here, where now I am saying that interval is, the height is going to lie between 163 to 167. So I'm just trying to convert that point number into the form of an interval. Okay, so we are trying to convert that into the form of the interval over here. Now, how do we convert that is, we use this technique where what we do is in the average, we do plus minus of Z critical, this is critical Z score into sigma by root n, which is the standard deviation of the population. So now what is this critical value, right? So critical value is something that we find from that tables, right? So the tables from where which you find it, the Z score table. So this formula, what we write over here, it actually becomes x bar plus minus. You can write this sigma by root n as sigma x bar also, which is again, as we all discussed, that is called as the standard deviation of the sample. So which is represented by sigma x bar, right? So the formula just changes and this becomes like this. And now what we do is okay, see, now this will be little bit of this a thing that we will have here trying to understand this over here. So if I come over here, now when I let me make this normalization curve. Okay, what is the area that the data lies inside this? The area is 100% that lies under this normalization curve now. Okay, so when I say that I am 90% confident, right? When I say I am saying 90% confident on some values that I have calculated, what does that mean? Okay, see, what does that mean is, so basically, see, we have 50% area on this side, we have 50% area on this side. So 90% of the area means that 45% from here and 45% from here. So you leave 5% on this side and 5% on this side, which we are keeping it as an error margin. That, see, when you create a normalization curve, now the idea of normalization curve is that the data is equally distributed on both the sides over here. So in that case, what we do is, if you are keeping, say, suppose you are trying to predict the output, right? You are trying to find the output in the form of, say, suppose you are trying to find the output that you have to find that average or something of a data with 90% confidence. So what happens is this area is going to be covered as 90%, where you will have 5% of the margin error on both the sides, 5% on the right side, 5% on the left side. Okay, so that is why what we do is this formula, we're just trying to make this formula more and more streamlined. So what we do is we say mean that you have calculated plus minus z into sigma x, and this z is something which is written as z alpha by 2. Now what was alpha? Alpha was basically the margin of error. Okay, this was the margin of error, and margin of error, because it's getting distributed on two sides, we represent it as alpha by 2. So if you have an error of 10%, 5% will be on the left side, 5% will be on the right side. So this is something that we call it as alpha by 2 when you calculate that error on that data right now. So now if I just, if you just examine this formula over here, okay, if you just try to examine it,
Alpha was margin of error, or was it called something else?
sorry,
Significance. Margin of what was alpha again? If you scroll up,
was this was level of significance. That was the error.
That is that the same thing as margin of error?
See, error, when I talked about alpha, right? So alpha was in the form of percentage, that I will have 5% of error. And when you calculate that number, right? So when I'm saying that the average height will be 165 plus minus 2, so that plus minus 2 becomes my margin of error. That that 165 average height that I have calculated, it can have an error of 2 centimeters either on the higher side or on the lower side. So that is, we call it as margin of error, the value that you will get.
So z into sigma x bar is margin of error, or we can also say z alpha by 2 into sigma x bar is the margin of error.
Sorry, can you come again?
So the one z alpha by 2 into sigma x bar is the margin of error.
Margin of error, yes, this is the margin of error. See, this is the percentage, and with the the alpha was the percentage. So with the help of percentage, we are finding the value, which that we call it as margin of error. The number that you will get.
Okay.
Because see, why do we use z-score? We use the z-score for the standardization. Okay, now if I say if you are measuring the height of student, so definitely that error can be 2 centimeter or 4 centimeter. But if suppose you are measuring the salary of the company, a salary of an employee, now the salary will not have an error of 2 rupees or 5 rupees. It will be into thousands, right? So if I'm saying that I want to calculate the average salary with where I should be 95% confident that the output that I've given is correct. So I'm saying, okay, the average salary that from the sample that I've got is 50,000 and plus minus 7,000. That means it could be 47,000 also, it could be 43,000 also. So there is a margin of error that you have kept. That if suppose some problem happens, so there is this error that we have kept, right? Like when you go for giving your clothes for stitching, right? What does he do? He takes your measurements and he starts stitching. But still, every tailor keeps some margin over there, right? If suppose some error happens, so he has that scope that he can rectify that thing. That is the same way for the samples also. When we are doing our calculations, we are keeping the scope of error also, right? We are not saying that we will not have any error in that sample. That is the margin that we are keeping when we are trying to calculate the things.
Okay. But what is alpha by? So alpha was the level of significance, I think, which was the part. So if we are 95% sure, then 5% was the one minus that confidence level was our
That was alpha.
level of significance.
That
And
becomes
okay, and we're doing z alpha by 2.
mhm. So z alpha by 2 is we will be actually calculating the z values from that z tables only. And how we will calculate the values is that will be calculated by alpha by 2. What is the marginal error that you are keeping? Because that 5% error will be on two sides of that curve, left side and right side. So that is why we will be looking at the values of 2.5, 2.5 on left and right side. That is why we call it as alpha by 2.
But it's not necessary, right, that it's going to be on either side. Like let's say yesterday we did so many questions where we were only trying to find the like we were only trying to find data on the left hand side or on the right hand side. So it's not necessary that alpha will be present on both the sides.
No, error will be distributed on both the sides. Now you cannot say that you are saying that average salary is you calculate the average salary is 165 centimeter and you say that it could be plus you will not say that suppose you
Like for example, yesterday there was a question, okay, 165 is the height, and question goes like, what are the chances that the height of a person will be less than 170 centimeter? Okay, so that less than 170 means we will calculate where that 170 centimeter that lies on as the standard deviation, and area on the left will be considered as the percentage which we have to consider, right? And whatever is left out of that 100% minus that 90 something percent would be our alpha. Now
not
that
alpha, that is not
is
alpha.
on the right side.
So that's not alpha. Over there what we were doing was that was a different scenario, right? Over there what we are doing is we were given a mean, and that so see we are combining two concepts. So you calculate mean yesterday, right? There was a mean that was given to you that okay, this is a question and this is a sample and this is a sample mean, right? Based on that sample mean, what we were doing was we were trying to find that what are the probability that some value that a particular value in how much deviation is it going to lie from that mean now, right? That was something that we were doing yesterday. But now over here, that mean that was given to us, we are that is something that is called as point mean. That point mean. So that point mean actually, if you remember that now, if you see over here, this mean had equal amount of an area on both the sides, right? This mean had an equal area on both the sides,
Yeah, left
50%
and
on
right.
this side, 50% on this side, correct?
Yes.
So now what I'm trying to say is that I am not going to calculate just the exact mean. I am going to calculate, I am going to keep some error margin as well. That this error that I'm calculating, it can have some chances of being error in it, that this error might be incorrect. Right. So what we do is we actually keep some margin on both the sides,
You
left
take
and the
interval
right side.
values, x comma
Right.
y
So
or
we
equal.
keep that so that margin that we keep on both the sides, and okay, my error, my mean could be a little lower also, and my mean could be a little higher also. So that is something that you are going to keep equal on both the sides, right?
Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Because we are trying to find an interval around the mean,
Yes, yes. So we are trying to
to
find
be
the
different.
interval. Correct.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So how we calculate that part is, that is basically x plus the mean that you have already calculated. In that we are taking some margin. That, and what's that margin? That is the z alpha by 2 into the standard deviation of the sample that you would have calculated. Okay. Others, I hope everyone is clear on this. So now if you see over here, right, if you now see this formula, now just try to answer a couple of questions. See, now this is the formula for the interval. This is the formula that we're using for margin of error. So what will happen if I increase the sample size? So
The
will my
interval will
confidence
be
interval
shorter.
level, interval will
Interval
be
will
shorter?
be closer to the mean. Yeah.
So if that interval is shorter, what does that mean? That error is more or error is less? Margin of error is more or margin of error is less?
Margin of error is less.
Less, right?
Right.
Because it, so if you increase the sample size, your margin of error is going to decrease now, right? That is what we mean over here now. So now in the same context, now if I come down over here, higher the confidence level, right? Now this confidence level that we are talking over here, that is the z bar, the z score, right? This z score is something that we are talking in the context of we are talking to the context of this confidence level. Now if that confidence level will be more, right, if you are saying that I am 99% confident that he will come, so what we do in that case is, the wider the confidence interval. See, now just try to answer this. You have to meet your friend. See, I'm trying to just explain you with these small examples, because ultimately you will see all these things will get clubbed up. If your friend says he will reach in 2 to 4 minutes, then he says he will reach between 2 to 8 minutes, and then he says he will reach between 2 to 10 minutes. Okay. So what we see over here is, we are seeing that my friend is increasing the range of the time in which he will reach, right? So when he says 2 to 4 minutes, so because I have to wait for him, so okay, I say okay, I'm aware that he will come. When he says I will reach in 2 to 8 minutes, I'm a little more confident that okay, yes, uh, within this time, definitely he will come. And as I keep on increasing that range, do you think my confidence is increasing that okay, within 2 to 10 minutes, definitely he will come? Yes.
Confidence is increasing.
Sorry.
Confidence level is increasing.
Your confidence is increasing, right? Confidence is, so I'm not talking about confidence levels as of now, just a general example. So you are waiting for someone. If he says he will come in 2 to 4 minutes, okay, you are sure he will come. But when he says 2 to 8 minutes, okay, your confidence increases that okay, within this time frame he will definitely come. And when he says 2 to 10 minutes, your confidence builds up more. That okay, within this time he is definitely he will definitely come. So this is what we are talking over here. That if your confidence level is high, the confidence interval will be more, right? If you're more confident, your confidence interval will be more. The error, right? The error, if the error is more, right? If the larger the standard error, right? Sigma that you are calculating, that definitely if that deviation is high in the data, again the confidence interval will be more. And if the sample size is big, your standard error will be small, and that way what will happen is your confidence interval is going to decrease in that case. Okay. So this is some inferences from the formula that we have written at the top, right? So what we do is, now we will try to understand that this part up till here, right? Is this is these pointers clear to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So lower the standard error, and if you can go down, scroll down. Yeah, over here it says larger the sample size, smaller the standard error, and therefore narrower the confidence interval. This just means that the person has made less errors in coming. So that means we are confident that within 2 to 4 minutes that person can come. That means the
No,
person just makes less.
standard error is sigma divided by root n, right? Sigma divided by root n. So if you will
Yes.
increase the sample size so that standard error will reduce, right? Standard error is sigma by root n.
Error, reducing error, like in layman terms, reducing error would just mean that whoever that, suppose that person is making less errors, and so we can be more confident that this person will
No,
arrive in 2 to 4 minutes.
this is not a general term. This is the calculation that we made,
Yes.
right? This is standard error like we were discussing yesterday. This is the formula of that standard error sigma by root n.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say if I'll increase the sample size, the value of this will increase. Oh, so the value of this will decrease.
Decrease. Decrease.
Decrease.
Yeah.
So this value will decrease. So that means because in the formula what we are doing over here is we are using
Yep. Mathematically, yes.
so this value will reduce, the confidence interval also will reduce.
Yes. Because denominator is increasing. Yes.
That is this formula will reduce now. This value will reduce down the standard error, the error chances will reduce down. So that is why the interval will also become narrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So now you know when we were talking about this one, this is the same thing that region of rejection. So when we talked about the margin of error, we said that it could be written as Z into this is the formula of the region of rejection. Region of rejection is basically when we are saying that the value that we have calculated was completely wrong, right? So we are talking about that. So when we say that calculation of margin of error that we do, so alpha over here is basically the alpha is basically the error margin or the level of significance. What happens is when you pick a confidence level of 95%, so what happens in that case is the alpha becomes 1 minus 95, that is 5%. So if the value of alpha is 5%, that means thus we can expect the smallest 2.5%, largest 2.5% of values to fall outside the confidence interval. So basically what we're saying is the same curve that I was trying to explain you, so that error the 2.5% over here on this side and 2.5% over here on this side will be your area where you will say that the numbers that you have calculated, if the numbers come in this range, that means the value that you have calculated are incorrect. Right? So that is what we are trying to call it as region of rejection. So what we will do now over here is we will just use the Z tables and try to find what are the values that are associated with 2.5% and you know so we can first find with the 2.5% only, then we will find it for the 1% and the 92% also. So can you find what is the uh, how much sigma level you are getting when you have to look at the Z table for 2.5%, right? So basically now remember I was telling you we will be doing the things the opposite way. So let's just open this Z table first just to understand it. I just give me 1 second, all right? In the meantime, you open it up. I just okay. So if you just open this up, see, let me do one thing. Everyone, right? The thing that we're discussing right now, are they clear or they are little confusing as of now? Yep. Clear. Okay. So let's test this. So what I do is, yesterday I did a question. Okay, we did some questions yesterday where we were saying we were given, we were, we were given the salaries to us. The salaries were given to we did some question that the average height was known to me. So I was trying to find out what are the chances, what are the percentages that the height is going to be between the what are the chances that the height will be less than 176 or height will be more than 163. Those are the type of questions that we do. Now what I'll do is let me give you a scenario. So what we're trying to do over here is I am saying I have calculated the average height. That is 165 centimeters. Right? Now if I ask you, what you have to do is, in those questions what we had was we had average height and I was given a standard deviation, that the standard deviation is of 2. Right? So I said that standard deviation is of 2. And when I say that standard deviation is of 2, what is the z score of this? What is the z score in terms of the standard deviation? Yep. If I have standard deviation of 2, so when we standardize it, so this is like one deviation. That I am saying that if I'm in the one deviation, so that means the height is lying between 163 to 167. This is what the standard deviation 2 means over here. That if the average height is 165 and the standard deviation is 2, that means most of the people lie between the height of 163 to 167. Okay. What was the confidence that I got that, if I pick anyone from that group, their height will be between 163 to 167? What is the confidence that I get? What percentage of confidence that I had in it?
Is that 68%?
68%. Okay. Now see, I am saying that I'm 68% confident that the height of the people will be between 163 to 167. This is an interval. Now instead of saying this is in the output, instead of saying that average height of the student is 165, I am saying that I am 65% confident that the average height of the people lie between 163 to 167. Is this statement making sense to all of you? And is it correct? Am I right in saying this? Yes, Karan and okay, Harshad, you are clear? Right, Rama?
With the standard deviation 2?
With the standard deviation
Yeah,
2, like
yes. Yes.
I calculated the average, I got the standard deviation of 2.
Okay.
So I am feeling very comfortable in saying this, that okay, I am 68% confident that the height is going to lie between 165 to 162, 163 to 167. Okay. Now, if I say that the height, I calculate the average height, but instead of telling my boss that the average height is 165, I am saying, boss, the average height of the student is between 161 to 169. Right? So now I'm not telling my boss I'm not giving my boss the exact number. I'm talking in the terms of range. Okay. So now, will my confidence be more that, okay, you know what? Now I'm giving him a little wider range that, I'm saying, boss, the average height of the student lies between 161 to 169. Correct? So now if I say this, how much confidence do I have?
95%.
95%,
Yes.
right? You're the 95%.
Deviations.
Mm.
So if you are 95% confident, that means there's a 5% chances of error,
Yes.
right? So you have 5% of chances of error because you are right now moving on the both side of the mean right now. So there will be some error on the right side, some error will be on the left. So I will come to that just in a little part. Okay. Now, if I say over here to you, okay, let me say towards uh, yeah. So average height is 165, the same thing. Okay. Now I say that I as a friend I ask you that okay, Radhika, so I have to I have found the average height of the students that is coming out to be 165 centimeter, but I want to be 95% sure that the number that I tell my boss is something which is in which that height of the student should lie. It should not happen that I give him a number 165 and he calculates by himself. It turns out to be 167, or it turns out to be 163. Because see, we are playing on the samples only, right? So samples can have values up and down little bit here and there. Because every time you will change the sample, right? Every time you will change the sample, there's a high chance that the numbers might tweak up and down. Correct. So now what I do is I ask that now I say that average height of this student is coming as 165 and standard deviation is coming out to be as 2 is 2. Now I'm asking that okay, so Radhika, like what is the interval, what is the range of value that I should give to my boss that it should have 95% of surety that my numbers are correct, that the numbers that I'm looking at they are correct.
You'll give the same range of 2 standard deviations, 160 to 169.
You will say range of 2 standard deviations, but how did you
Yes.
come to this? How did you come to this number of 2? Why are you saying that we will be taking that the range of 161 to 165? How did you come to this part now?
Because
I
you've
just
already given that standard deviation is 2. You've given the is 165. So we are taking the confidence, like that interval on both left and right hand side of the mean. That's why 161 and 169. So that is 165 plus minus 4.
no. See, this is standard deviation 2 is already given to me in the range.
Yeah.
Okay, but then how are you telling me that I should be doing plus minus 4 now? Plus 4 and minus 4.
Because that is what we have, like that's what you've told us, right? That plus minus 2 standard deviation, we get a confidence level of 95%.
The previous case, if you just recall it from yesterday, what we used to do was
The second
that
deviation, first deviation.
so what we were doing was we used to find the value, right? Then when I was saying 163 to 165, so what we did was we said okay 163 minus 165 minus 163 minus 165 divided by 2,
Okay.
I get one deviation,
Yes.
right? We used to
Yes.
go into that table
Yes.
and we used to find that percentage from there. So if you
Yes.
go into plus 1, so over here we found the value of plus 1 which was 15%,
This is
and
minus
then
1.
minus 1 which was some 95 84%, and we subtracted
Minus
it, we got
1 is 15%.
minus 1 is 15% and plus 1 was 84%.
84 point something.
So we subtracted it, we got 68% as an output, that we are 68% of that data or the confidence that the number is going to be lying in that. And when you said
So
two
say,
deviation, it was you found plus 2 and minus 2 in this data. Now the thing will happen over here is you will be finding the percentages. So now if you find the percentage, I want to be 95% sure, right? I want to be 95% sure. Now over here, if I am saying I want to be 95% sure that the number that I'm going to give to my the number that I'm going to give to my boss, I want to be 95% sure on that. So what is the error rate?
so 5% is the error rate. That means 2.5 on the left and 2.5
Two
on the
and a
right.
half on the right, right? So that means error rate is 5%. So what I do is I'm saying I have an error rate of 5%. That means 2.5 will be on the right and 2.5 on the left. Right? 2.5 on the right, on the left and 2.5 on the right. So
Yes.
where is the left on this table? So in the left
My
is
so minus point 025. That is and minus and plus. So 2.5. Yes. So minus 0.2 minus 2.5 is 0.0062. That is 6.2%. Actually less than that. And plus 2.5 will find, which is 2.5 is 0.9938.
no, this is not what you're looking. You're looking at the wrong stuff. So basically, these numbers that you are looking at 2.5 over here.
Yeah.
This is not what you have to look out. This is the standard deviation. This is the standard deviation, right? This you are looking at these numbers over here, which are the standard deviation over here. So these are not percentages. Percentages are these numbers in the middle.
Yes.
These
So
are
I'm saying, so I'm saying minus 2.5 and plus 2.5 will be the error on both the sides, right? On the left hand side, and that is the alpha by 2 value. Alpha is 5%. Alpha by 2 is 2.5%, right?
uh,
So we will have to find the 2.5% value. And
where
that
is it?
2.5 is 0.025. Should it be minus 2.5?
No, I think it should be Z, so 1.7 or 1.6, 1.68.
Which one you're saying?
No, the percentage, if we go for the percentage, then 1.68 or 1.6, yeah, 1.65 is the Z score.
Hmm.
Is that
So
enough?
this is where you will find it. So you will just find the percentage over here,
Yes.
right? So you have to
Yeah.
find 0.025 percentage in this table right now over here. So if you come over here,
So 2.4, here it is. 0.1, 1.9, minus 1.9 something. Minus 1.9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
In plus table, it
Minus
is
1.96.
minus 1 point. So now,
96.
this is the value, right? No, this
Left.
this
Yeah.
right. So this is the value that you're getting, that is minus 1.96. That means if you are 1.96 deviations away from your mean, right? If I am 1.96 deviations away from my mean, and same number will come on the right hand side also. If you will go on the 0.025, if you will look it on the right side of the table, that will come in the same number only, 1.96. You just find the 1.96, that will be 97.5 now, right? Because the curve is 0 to 100. So on the left hand side, it will be 0.025. On the right hand side, it will become 97.5, because 2.5% is left from here and 2.5 is left from here. From the left hand side, we will definitely find 0.025. From the right hand side, this will be 97.5, because that 2.5% is the error margin that I am keeping. Making sense?
Yes.
yes.
Okay. So now, what is the value that you have found over here is that when I'm
Z
saying
score
that
is 1.96.
so when I'm saying that I want to be 95% confident, we got the standard deviation as 1.96. Okay, we got the standard deviation as 1.96.
Is it standard deviation 1.96 or is it Z score?
Standard Z score is
Z alpha by 2.
Z score or standard, this Z score or standard of deviation means the same thing. Z score is standardization of the standard, the standardization of the standard deviation only. Making sense? Z score and standard deviation are the same thing.
So
When I'm saying
1.96 will be the standard deviation for this question you're saying. So standard deviation will be 1.96.
so standard deviation will be 1.96.
Okay.
Right, which we call it as Z score. So exactly not standard deviation. This is the standard, like how many deviations I am away from my this. So that is I'm 1.96 deviations away from that mean. That is what I'm saying, that if I want to be 95% sure that the number that I give, so I have to take the range of the data which should be into 1.96 deviations. Okay. So now if I come over here, 1.96. So if you try to now find the number over here, what that would be. So we know the mean, that is 165. I am saying 165 plus minus, what was the standard deviation that we calculated? That was 2, right? So 2 multiplied by 1.9, 1.96. That will be roughly 4 only. That will be roughly coming roughly as 4. So I am saying plus minus 4. That is 161 to 169. If I give this range of the data to my boss, then I'm 95% sure that the average is going to lie between this range. Making sense now? Yes, class? Okay. Karan,
Can you
Rama,
repeat? Can you repeat once again?
sorry?
No. Can you tell us once again?
No worry. So don't worry. If I'll show you one, we will talk more examples on this. Just now we will talk more examples to make it more clear. Just a second, class. Okay. Let's see. Now let's do it one more. So I am saying I had a sample. I had a sample of data. Now, what I do over here is I have a sample weight of, I had a sample of, suppose I took a sample of I had a sample of Maggie packets. The Maggie packets I took multiple samples and I found that the average weight is coming out to be, average weight is coming out to be as 50 grams, and there was a standard deviation of 4 grams. There was standard deviation of 4 grams. Okay. Now what I want to do is I want to represent this average weight with 95% confidence, right? So because I do not want to make a mistake, so because I have calculated my average sample, so what is the range that I can have so that I can be 95% sure that definitely the weight average is going to lie between that range.
1.96 into 4.
1.96 into 4.
Yeah.
Why did you say 1.96? Because now you know that 95% that the value was 1.96. You have already found it.
Yeah.
Right? Because that means you will have 2.5 error on the left side, 2.5 error on the right side. Now let me change the question. What will be the range of values if I say I want to be 99% confident? Please give me that range in form of output.
Two 2.57 into 4.
Sorry?
2.57 into 4.
2.57 into 4. Okay. So Radhika's answer is 2.4. Anyone else? Richard says 3.9. 3.9 looks little off. Okay. So, Rama, like if you see now over here, so I am saying that this is the average weight, this is the standard deviation. I want to find a range with 99% confidence. What will be the error?
1%.
1%, right? So now we have the 1% error. Now I am telling you that, on the normalization curve, 1% error will be lying on both the sides. So if the error is lying on both the sides, how much error will I have on this side? 0.5. 0.5% of the error comes on this side, and 0.5% of the error comes on this side. 0.5%. 0.5%. 0.5% means 0.005,
Yes.
right? Is it 0.005 or 0.
0.
It will be 0.005.
005.
Yes.
It will be 0.005. So what I'll do now over here is I just need to come up and I need to find that value where that 0.005 is coming. So you find it either above. So on one side it will be
No.
0.5, right? On this side it will be 0.5. What will be on this side? 99.5.
99.5. Yes.
99.5. So now what you can do is either you can find the value for this or you can find the value for 0.5%. Both will be same only. So if you come over here now, so in the above table, so 0.005, let's try to find that.
It's 3.3. Minus 3.3. 0.0.
So you will have it over here. So what you have given is like this value that you have given is this one, right? 0. This. So we have 0.
No, not this. I went minus 2.57. So that is 0.0051.
This is here, right? 0.005. So this is the output. This is the number that you can have. Okay, so we can see this now. 2.57 over here. This is a second. Sorry, yeah, right? I'm sorry, this is dog was again barking. So sorry. So this is where the number you get, right? 2.57. So generally what we do is, because as a rule, if you don't find exact value, right? If you don't find the exact value, see the value we were looking out for was 0.005. But if I come over here, I actually don't have the exact value. So what we do is we take one value above and the value which is below, we take the average of that. Okay, we just take the average of that. So it will technically become like 2.5. We will call it as 2.56576.
2.575. Oh no.
2.575 or 2.576 just to round it off. So this is how we take that. But generally we give that to 2 decimal places, only 2.57 will also work. Okay.
Cool. Thanks.
So what is the range that comes out to be now? So what is the range of confidence interval that I will get now over here? That will be 4 multiplied by this, right? So deviation was 4. So if I multiply this, sorry,
10.28.
10.28. 10.28. So if I will say that the Maggi, the average of the Maggi is lying between 40 to 60, I am very much confident that 99% confident that my boss is not going to beat me up because average is going to come between this only. If he takes another sample as well, right? This is what we mean now. When it will be when I'm saying 95%, what is the range I would have got? That range would have been little less, 1.96, right? Almost like 8. It would have been 42 to 58. This is the range I would have got with 95%. With 99%, I have got that range as 40 to 60. So my range is increasing, right? My range is increasing if my confidence level, if I'm increasing my confidence level. And the same thing, what will be the number if I take it as 90%? If I say I want to be, 90% sure that my range should be falling in that data point. In case of 90%, you will have 5% error on both the sides, right? 5% left side, 5% right side.
1.64.
1.64. Okay. So if you come over here,
Minus
5%.
1.64.
So this is 0.05 we are looking out for.
Yeah, 0.505.
So this is the average of this, right? So
Yes.
1.65 I can say, right?
Yeah.
0, 2, 3, 4, right? So 1.65 approximately if I round it up, 1.65. Right? So this is the average of these two numbers. So 1.65. So this is the deviation that you will get. Now if you will find the range, that range will further reduce. That range will be further reduced. So this will come out to be as somewhere around 1.6 will be, I'm just writing it rough number, that will become 44 to 54, 56.
56.
44 to 56. So what is happening when you are increasing your confidence level? What are we doing in that case? If I'm increasing my confidence level, can I say that I'm increasing my margin error? Yes.
Wait, sorry, what did you say?
So if I say that if I'm increasing my confidence level, so can I say that I'm increasing my margin error?
Yes, because margin error in case of 99% was 10.28.
Right. So that is increasing more and more.
Yes.
Right. So if you want to be more confident, right, you go to a tailor and you say that you go for some, you go and give your, definitely in this pandemic time, definitely we have to keep a lot of margin of error because it happened with many of my friends that they had planned their wedding and they had given all their, the the size of the stitchings of all their suits and sherwanis. And now what happened was that due to the lockdown, now the marriage couldn't happen. So there was a lockdown, and then they said that okay, we'll have to postpone the marriage after 6 months or 8 months, and the all those stitchings have already been given, and all the stitching part has already been started. So by any chance, right, if the tailor had kept more margin, because after 8 months and sitting in the home, everyone gained 5 and extra 8 kgs of weight. So if the tailor had kept more margin, there were better chances that the same sherwani will work. But if by any chance that tailor keeps narrower margin, that means now that all the money is wasted, now we will have to again spend our money on that suit and the sherwani again, right? That is what that margin is. I'm just trying to relate an example. So when we are building that margin, so we are increasing that scope. That if that error happened, we still have that margin that we have covered it now, right? So now this confidence level and the margin of error, they both are inversely proportional and they are used very judiciously in different industries. See, if you are into the clinical industry, if you are into the pharmacy, or you are into the medical industry, what is more important, confidence level or margin of error?
Confidence level.
So confidence level should be high or low?
High.
High. If you will keep confidence level high, you will get more of margin of error, right? So don't you think there is a problem? That means you are saying that
They should
you
be
are
more
making,
confident, no, that the medicine will work.
so you are making a tablet, and in a tablet it is mentioned, you take a sample of paracetamol tablets and you say that okay, the average paracetamol in the tablet should be 10 mg. So now I want to be 99% sure that that any that paracetamol that I pick, it should be having between that paracetamol between 14 mg to 8 mg. Don't you think you will take wider range? Don't you think that will be a
No,
problem if you take
I was
higher
talking in the
dose?
sense that if suppose the medicine works, so we want a higher range that 99% the medicine is effective, like that, because right now only vaccination is in the mind, so it should work.
So that is different scenario. That is more like that is the effectiveness that you are giving
Yes,
it to, that what percentage of the people it is
effective.
working good, right? But depending upon the industry, what will happen is if you are taking a sample of medicines
So
and you
production
see,
is important.
you find that average paracetamol found in every tablet was 10 mg. But over there, definitely you will have to keep lower confidence level so that you get you keep lesser margin. Because if you will keep bigger margin over there, so if it turns out if you give higher paracetamol to a patient, it can have side effects. And if you give underweight of that lower amount of the paracetamol, it can have negative. I mean, it might not affect only to that patient. He might not get cured after taking that. So this is what we are talking over here.
Yep.
Okay. I hope now it's making sense to all of you. So this is what this entire confidence level and interval is all about. And these are the same number that we have just calculated. So for 99% confidence level, your Z score comes out to be plus minus 2.58. For 95%, 1.96. For 90%, 1.65. Correct? The numbers you have just calculated, this is what we have to discuss as the next part. So now I hope this entire picture gets clear to all of you.
So when will we start working on this in Python? Like, do we have more theory classes on this?
Sorry, can you couldn't hear you.
I'm saying, do we have more theory on this, or we will be?
No, so there is theory. I want to explain to you what this is important, right? So we will talk about hypothesis testing. After that is the last topic. So maybe by tomorrow or day after, we will close this.
Okay.
Okay. So I think today I'll take a pause over here. So let me put this file on the drive so you can just try these questions now. Right? You have to work on this question, and you can also go through this file as well. Okay, I'll just upload this file in like 5-10 minutes. Nicholas. So tomorrow we will move ahead and we'll talk more and we'll then start the hypothesis testing. Okay. Thank you.